So you're just connected and I'm not speaking with you. That's fine.
All right, I'll unmute. How about that? I just
Yes.
fine. I'll unmute.
So do you think it's fine for me to ask Elliot to submit a 00 that is clean and then a 01? Because that's my OCD. And I really like my diffs being in order and across tracks.
An 00, which is identical to the one that,
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
that adoption should always have this really like intentional no changes, and then you can a second later submit a 01 that addresses comments.
Oh, so the question is, do you want to have him address the comments before
Yeah, but
the,
there was
so
no
it becomes a
consensus on the
question of, do
comments.
you address comments as people make them? And because someone says, don't want you to adopt it until you make this change.
Now, these are non-trivial comments, but there might be, but there was no discussion. So this is not a consensus call, it was an adoption call. So
Right. No,
that's
but
what.
sometimes people sometimes people want to, see the result before they'll agree to adoption. And I don't know how I feel about that. So I feel it depends a lot on the author. I think that the 00 should be exactly identical to the last one before it was adopted. So if the author wants to make 3 revisions to their personal ID during the adoption call, I think that's fine. But that when they post the 00, it should be identical to the last one. That's, I think, a good idea. But
Yeah, I see your point, but I'm okay with this now, so that's fine, I think. So other people are joining. Good. By the way, Wei will not join today. Wei is out of order. I think he has the same thing I got, a sore throat, and really has to dial down a bit.
so y'all have COVID.
Yeah, I guess sore throat is not the ultimate sign. It's an indicator, but I guess you don't have to get worried about that right away.
Right away. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was having the sore throat because the furnace is running problem. Okay, we got lots of people here. I'm going to share a window.
Testing audio. People hear me today?
Hi, Dave.
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, the new WebEx update made repaired something in WebEx. I can use my tablet again, finally. You're not Mickey Mouse voices anymore, which was the most weirdest thing.
Today's the 26th. Myself, Andrew Gwynn, Dave Thaler, Hank, and Thomas. And you said regrets from Wei. And we have a total of 5. Okay, good. Wonderful. So let's talk about the handles first. And specifically, this one I think would be the right thing to do first.
I submitted one about 10 minutes ago that is only one sentence, and so if you wanted a low-hanging fruit, well, knock on wood, one at least low-hanging fruit in terms of the number of text. We'll see if number of comments, but that one, because there was comments in the appendix stuff where we said, gosh, the parentheses stuff is not even explained, and I responded to Hank saying, yes, I agree, we should add an explanation. And so that's what this one sentence is. This is back in the first example, the first time that curly brace notation is used.
Sounds good to me. Hank? Thomas?
Yep. have to read quickly. Or not.
It wasn't in any other pull request that I said, yes, I agree we should do it. So I just went ahead and did a sentence there. So thanks.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back
It's
to
like one of those
this
things
one.
you don't know is missing until somebody points it out and says, oh, yes, oops.
Okay, so I've been through this.
Which one is this? Is this one mine or is this one? Oh, okay, this is the layered attestation. Okay, gotcha.
No, I meant to do the move handle distribution. I meant to go here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I meant to go here.
Yep. And thanks, Thomas, for your comments. You'll see, and Michael, I said okay if we want to go ahead and merge them, but I want to leave them, except for one I did. So.
So
Thank you for this. It's a very good text, I think.
I just added this because I didn't understand. I didn't understand.
That one looks fine to me. That's why I said okay if you want to commit that one. I don't know if others have suggestions, but I wanted others to be able to review it. So if they'd see if it's a diff.
258 still? No, right?
We're in 257.
257.
Yeah, so 258, did you just accept that or
No.
Okay, because I thought we were looking at that, but maybe we're not.
It's back in the queue.
I thought we were supposed to do this one first because there were some requests to rebase some of the changes on this.
Okay, so I didn't get that.
Yes,
Mike,
so you're
could
okay
you widen?
with this?
Mike, could you widen the text a bit because I'm having some troubles with my
widen. You want
horrible.
me to make it, you want me to make it bigger?
Yeah. Could you?
Is that better?
Widen the window.
Widen the window. So I have a lot of, the column, the participant column is gigantic, and I don't know why. Okay. Yes.
Oh, Wei has joined us 3 times after all.
Thank you.
So yeah, so well, okay, I don't know if you're using the app or the web browser, but anyway,
no, this works perfectly. Thank you.
I like the new text.
Wish it would put the participants, like chat and the participants on the bottom. You could move it around, but anyway.
Okay, works for me.
Happy with
okay. Yeah.
All right. So add IE for non-clock handle. Of course, all of us would probably implement this as an encrypted clock, but never mind that.
Okay, so here was the one thing that I did change, and so I added a comment because Thomas, you had a comment on the previous text saying you didn't understand the epoch counter, and so I rewrote that sentence here.
Okay, let me read it.
And actually fixed an error in my wording, and so the notion of an epoch counter that I had in mind is where your handle is just a signed sequence number. And so what happens, as I mentioned in my comment here, that's just a placeholder, not in the green text, but in my comment to where yours used to be. The use of a signed sequence counter means if you ever receive a handle from, let's say a verifier sees a handle in evidence, okay, and it doesn't have that handle from the handle distributor. But if it's a signed sequence number and it's signed by the handle distributor, I can just accept it. I don't have to queue it or anything. I can just accept it immediately. It's just another channel of distribution. Right, but I can only do that if it's a signed sequence number because then I know it's newer and I know it's correct.
Okay.
So that's just another example in the different ways of generating handles. So
cool.
So this is what I mean by, I don't know if this is sufficient, such as by using a counter assigned by the handle distributor as the handle is the new phrasing for that one. That replaces the text that you correctly pointed out was either confusing, and I noticed it was actually wrong because it said in addition to instead of as the.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, am I supposed to do something I don't know? My phone rang.
No,
my dentist.
No, you're not. This is me resolving a comment that Thomas had that you can't see right now, and so that's why I put a placeholder here to explain to Thomas what I did to address his comment.
Okay.
If that looks okay, then you can mark it as resolved. But if you want it elaborated on or whatever, we can do that. So
I can hit resolve here. That's what you're telling me to do.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, thanks for catching the error that I had. So
no worries.
Here I like Thomas's text.
Okay.
So Thomas is adding another example into the OR, which I think is great, which is the buffering incoming messages. You wait and see if you're going to get a handle in the near future. So, and you have some maximum buffering time after which you got to give up, or maybe it's until you get another one. So you just have a cache of one that you don't know about, something like that. So then you don't need any clock.
Yeah.
It just requires state because now you got to cache the message, for example. So, but yeah, good point. This one I think is the crux of the stuff. And no, I do not believe end-to-end delay plays any part in any of the text that I have and does not need to be mentioned. There's nothing in a handle distributor in any of the text here. I can generate 3 different handle distribution things that are completely independent of prop delay. Prop delay could be a month. Everybody gets it about the same time. The thing is sitting on Mars or sitting on Jupiter or something. So works fine.
Yeah, but
you don't care when it was sent. You only care the difference between if the epoch changes every day, but it takes 3 months to get here from Jupiter, then that's fine as long as it changes every day.
Yeah, that's right. There's cones of information that matters. Yeah.
That means that you always have the same delay between all the parties, which is, I think, not necessarily true.
Exactly. So yeah, the big assumption.
All that you care about is that the duration of an epoch is larger than the propagation delay, not between the handle distributor, but between, say, the attester and the verifier. That the epoch isn't on the order of that delay. It's just larger. That's all you care about. If it's not, then it will always fail, right? But it will succeed if it's an order of magnitude larger. You don't have to worry about it. Right, so if the prop delay is on the order of seconds or minutes, and your epoch is on the order of 15 minutes or something like that, then you're fine.
So just to clarify, Dave, are you assuming that the epoch is always the same length?
Approximately, I think that was what the old text said, and I used the word periodically. I think it was when I copied it up into here.
Okay. Because if this is not the case, then you're going to have some problems, right?
I don't know that it has to be the same length every time, as long as it's larger than the prop delay between the attester and the verifier, or the prop delay between the verifier and the relying party. I don't think it matters whether the first one is 15 minutes, the next one is 30 minutes, the next one is 2 hours, and the next one is 20 minutes.
As long as the total is around, the epoch is now, I counted about 3 hours there.
Well, no, each one of those is a separate epoch. I was giving an example where every epoch has a different duration, and that's fine as long as they're all big enough. I mean, big enough to not cause problems where the receiver is seeing 3 handles because.
Okay, so but this is right, but this is an unstated assumption at the moment in the current text. So, right,
it is true.
So I think we need to.
From the handle distributor is not important.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It doesn't matter if the handles take a year to arrive, as long as they arrive around the same time in each group, because each handle establishes a new epoch, is what I understand.
Yes. I think the way that Mikey you phrased it is good. I don't know if we need. So Thomas, do you think we need a sentence that says that?
I think so.
Okay.
But let's actually talk about delays like solar system type late delays with minutes to hours between things and different amounts. Does it work if one node is many propagation delays closer to the handle distributor than others?
I think what's important is how many different. If you're a receiver, not a receiver of the handle, but a receiver of evidence, let's say.
Yes.
Let's say you're a verifier and you got a bunch of attesters scattered around. Okay. The question is, as you start getting an evidence, if you get like 3 pieces of evidence back to back, all from different attesters that are scattered around. The question is, how many different epochs can you be having? How many different epoch handles that are all correct according to the center of that evidence can you receive at the same time?
And that's just the number of how many handles you've buffered and time-stamped.
Correct. And so the higher the number is, the more epochs you have to remember.
Right.
So do I need to remember the last 1, the last 2, the last 5, the last 10? And so it's not a clock as to when you throw them out. It's I need to remember the last N that I've gotten from the handle distributor. And what's that N? How many of those do I have to save?
Wow. So we finally figured out how it is that they were able to use the old codes to get onto the Death Star.
There you go.
Yeah, so what Dave basically just highlighted is this epoch counter, that you have some state that might be persistent. I answered somewhere back that said that it's like a ring buffer with N slots, and you remember the last, I don't know, N handles.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's a window. It's a window valid, possibly valid, right?
Yeah. And if you're all in a case where you typically expect a typical example where you're not dealing with solar system stuff is where N equals 2.
Right. So is there also a case where a verifier, or I guess a relying party even, where for some reason they've missed a handle because of network goof, and they now receive evidence that appears to have a handle they've never heard of?
Yes.
And so should a protocol actually be tolerant of that in the sense that says, could you retransmit?
That's exactly what that text was that we just merged that had Thomas's addition to the set of ORs.
Right. Okay.
That had the list of things that you do. Okay, so
that buffered. Okay.
His example was you could buffer it. My example was if it is signed, you can just accept it as if you'd gotten it from that one. And the other one on that list was you could also drop it and say, sorry, this is rejected, and then you got to try again, right? That's probably the least good one, but it's possible. Saying, I haven't seen this one yet, go away, and then the attester just has to retry. Well, how about now? You got it now?
Isn't there a security problem here, though? Because if it's not a network goof, but it's something that actively suppresses messages, it could remove an epoch and then, let the verifier accept messages that are from a previous epoch.
Yeah, but that's the same as the network had a high delay in it. So you're either going to accept that high delay or you're not, right?
Yeah, that's why, in my opinion, the signed counter one is probably the one that's the most robust because it kind of avoids that problem.
It doesn't in the sense that the stale information could be still deemed valid with your signed.
Exactly.
That's interesting. If you block everything from the handle distributor.
Yeah.
Well, delay. Just delay.
I think it does avoid the problem, Thomas, and that's because either you have to block all evidence coming into the verifier, in which case attestation just always fails, and then you don't know. It doesn't matter whether it's handles or nonces or clocks or anything. If you're going to be able to block all the evidence coming in, you can DOS attestation, right? Now, if you say I'm going to let the evidence in, and you're going to prevent the handle distribution.
Yes, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Then that's where I'm saying using a signed counter works if you're only DOSing it at the verifier. In other words, if the attester gets the right handle and you're allowing the evidence through, then you have the channel that goes to the verifier. It just happens to go via the attester. Now, what you can do, your point is, if you could DOS the handle distributor such that it can't get handles out to anybody, whether it's attesters or verifiers, then you can block it. That's true. Yeah. And that's the thing that's unique about the handle one is it introduces this extra point of DOSability. Is that
right? Should we add this as a security requirement for that, or is it not needed?
Hey, I think it's fine to point out things like that in a security consideration section. So yeah, now that we've discussed it, it's probably an interesting point. Cool. I hadn't thought about it before, which is why I think it's interesting to point out. So.
Yeah, so like one in a multi-step attack scenario, delaying a specific handle might have a very hard to detect effect. Still, but
if you can delay it,
that's an interesting. Yeah, if
you can delay it for everybody collectively, because it's not really detectable. If you can delay it for everybody, it's so. If you can block, if you can insert a huge delay at the handle verifier or at the handle verifier's router or something like that, then it's undetectable, right, by people who don't have clocks. because everybody in the world still
Okay.
thinks it's the same epic. Yeah.
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 I think there was a movie about this threat. Entrapment. That
Is
was the
there?
movie Entrapment. That's the movie
Which-
Entrapment. Yeah. 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 That was that movie Entrapment with Sean Connery and Renee Zellweger. Yeah. Okay. It's so weird as we go along and invent new security technology. We seem to be enabling improbable movie plots along the way.
Yeah, and this is the part that the other one would need to be rebased on, which is just that's the red text at 1423 on down that I use as the source for creating the text in line up above. So I deleted the text that I said should move up and replaced it with the summary sentence, intro sentence that matches the intro sentences of examples 1 and 2.
Okay. All right. So are we okay with this at this point?
Yes, I think it's fantastic. The only thing that I would raise is a very small concern, but maybe which can be addressed in a separate PR is the consideration about the relation between propagation delay and the length of an epoch that we discussed previously. But this can go as is. I think it's not a problem now.
That's a
Thanks,
final
Thomas.
comment. So I like this. I like that Dave basically reintroduced the timekeeping sections. That was a nice cherry on top. Thank you.
Yes, that's true. I liked it very much.
Okay, I'm going to push the button then.
Okay. Hank, the more I think about your handle stuff, the more I like it. So, well, in particular, the thing that so when I was explaining this to people in Azure, this was months ago, shortly after you and I actually had the offline meeting, Hank. The thing that they liked the best when we walked through the different examples that they pointed out, and so I added that in the text here, is that that in the nonce case, the nonce sender has to keep state to remember that nonce. And so if you have a verifier with a bunch of attesters using nonces, then I may have to generate and store a bunch of nonce state. With a handle one, the state requirement is far less, and that was the attractive thing. So I added that as a paragraph or sentence or something in that text. So. Well, that's what you're getting for the trade-off of dependency on this handle distributor, which has this secure potential DOSability issue that Thomas pointed out. That's what you win.
True. It's a swap of cost here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they really liked that. Hey, yeah, this means that there's less state. That's a cool attribute. So.
Yeah, it's coming from IoT stuff initially, very initially, like 3-4 years ago when we did the first time. It's in the IoT critical system stuff.
So number 256, which was I thought was our original.
No,
this is not the right one.
However, this one is actually Actually, no, I haven't seen that one yet. There's one of them that I approved. I saw others had comments on, and I'm okay either way. And so that's probably the next easiest one for us to do. But I don't know which one you want to do next.
So I'm just looking for someone that you have approved.
It was, I think, the second one from the bottom in numerical order, but I don't.
In the pull requests.
In the pull request, yeah. Yeah, I think it was 256. Wasn't that one the one that I've approved? I don't remember.
Well, that's the one that we were just about to look at.
Okay, I think it was this one that I marked approved. I said, yeah, I agree with some people's comment. Yeah, I marked approved on that one. So I saw the people had comments. I'm fine if we merge people's comments, whatever. So in most cases, I completely agree with those who have commented and said just merge them. So I don't think I even commented on any of them. They look good. Yeah.
Do we need to come back to this? I'm just going to commit the edits. Refresh. Okay, so Hank's comment: claims can be collected from or about each layer, including roots of trust.
I think Hank is correct. It's that sentence. I agree that that's
Endorsing?
technically correct.
You're just endorsing the fact that there. I'm just not sure whether
No.
you're making a criticism or not here, Hank.
The criticism is this could be read as, and I can create evidence about myself, me being the root of trust. That's not possible. Claims could
Actually, I
be
think it is
construed as,
possible. I think it is
no.
possible. So if you're the root
I
of
would
trust, you can
strongly
put in your own
disagree.
model number. If you're a TPM or whatever, you can put in what the TPM model number is.
Yes, but that is not evidence. It's just another claim. It can never be counted and evaluated as evidence, so appraised as evidence. This claim does not count as evidence. Naturally.
Evidence is just a set of claims that go in a message. So if you have an EAT message, so
No,
I think we're only
it's not
arguing
just
about
that.
the terminology. Right?
Yeah, so maybe that evidence is not just claims that go into the message. Definitely not. It is produced by a testing environment. That it is purpose, and a testing environment cannot include claims about itself. That defeats the purpose, I think.
I think that's where different people on the call have different views, that they can include stuff about themselves. You just can't trust it without something else attesting it, like an endorser.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's you can include it. You just can't trust it without something else, like an appraiser.
Yeah, and
endorser. I mean, endorser
by itself and not evidence. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
So we've said in the past that we didn't want to embrace, statements that we think are not correct or not leading in the right direction. I think this is in the context of policy. I think Hank's point is that we don't want to give the impression that we think that it's the right approach for something to self-assert a claim, but that needs to be made authoritatively. Claims have to be asserted authoritatively. And so while mechanistically it's possible, we're relying on, if we say that that's legitimate, then we're relying on the policy of the verifier to distinguish the two.
I am fine with the direction that Hank is alluding to here. I don't know if there's any change in the text necessary, but I get Hank's point, and I'm okay with that.
Was there specific text? If I look at it, there's some.
Hank, do you want to change any text?
That is a non-trivial change. I cannot just append a few words and make it work.
It looks like there's a proposed change already, 410 to 420. Is that the text we're talking about?
Line 470.
Yeah, but he's complaining about the new text.
Yeah, I have no immediate solution. Maybe I have some next week. I can take on the task to actually create a proposal here.
So the question is, Hank, on 417, would you be more comfortable for now if in 417 if from the comma to the end were deleted? Because it's the latter end of that you're complaining about. What if you omit that, and if you try to deal with it in a separate pull request or something?
Okay, then I just have to remember 417. Okay, but yes, thank you. That would ease it.
Does that resolve your unease with this current text?
Yes, thank you.
I don't know whose PR this one was, but I said I was okay with it either way. So.
Yeah, I have to find out if simply removing it just solves the issue, because then maybe I will elaborate on the context and a place in this text. I have to reassess that.
I read your comment as this looks like it's breaking into jail, right? The including is bringing up an issue that the reader would not have even thought of, right? If the user would not have even thought of it, then maybe you don't need to say anything. Maybe less is more.
Yeah. So maybe this is already the fix. I will check that.
What's wrong with that sentence? You're saying
I didn't like the idea that it could be read as saying a root of trust can collect claims about itself. He didn't like that implication.
About each layer.
Not the from, but the about word. If the root of trust thing, if you collect claims about a root of trust, then right now it's only talking about a tester is collecting claims, and so the only thing in the attester that can collect claims about the roots of trust is the roots of trust. So that's
yeah. So I can imagine an interpretation that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Because it's really ambiguous. It's one sentence that captures, maybe a paragraph or two of what you actually mean. So I can read it and interpret it a way that's correct, but probably everybody else could interpret it differently.
I guess it's also might be worth recognizing that this is an architecture, and it is an informational document that does not have BCP 14 language. So the only case I see if someone gets this wrong is you could come along and try to bash them over the head and said you got it wrong and here's the sentence, and they may argue backwards the other way. But ultimately, the guy that thinks he can do that didn't understand the whole problem anyway. So fixing this text isn't going to fix your system, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not like we're inventing attestation in this document and no one's ever heard of it before, right? We're trying to get a consensus model for protocols afterwards. So
it's just surprisingly specific. I like it better this way. I think it's just not focusing spontaneously on root of trust claims here, and then people, I don't know, get the wrong idea. I'm happy with this now.
You're happy with this? This is enough. Yeah. You may just close the other issue I opened. Okay. Removed possible self-evidence issue.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else in this text? All right, let's close this.
I think I was asserting you could add the text. Normally, claims are not self-asserted by a layer or a root of trust.
That would work. So there's an issue I just opened. It's number 261. You could put that text in there.
Okay.
Just sign that one to Ned.
Want me to sign it to Ned?
Sure.
How did I dodge this? Okay.
There we go, Ned. Oh, you get both of them. I can assign it twice, so there you go. Haha.
261, okay. You said.
Okay, so improve clarity of handle example. So this is the one that we started with. Now, at this point, I think there was some comment that we needed to rebase this on top of the one we just did.
Yeah, this would not be mergeable as is anyway, because it would be merge conflicts.
Probably. So, Thomas, can you try to rebase this?
Yeah.
Tell us that. Actually, know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conflict.
We will rebase and take a good look at it.
Because the other technical issue that I had with it was still that discussion we were having about the prop delay and whether the prop delay is relevant and whether the handle transmission time is relevant. Where I claim it's not, that's the technical issue. And hopefully from our earlier discussion, you at least understand where I'm coming from. So.
Okay.
All right. I have not looked at your other new ones, Michael, since those were.
Yeah. So they're very recent. They're actually rather trivial. So.
Okay. Cool. Let's do them.
Okay, that's the same. So there was this complaint from Guy. There are 3 ways in which the process may fail. Is there a reason to enumerate the failure cases? There are only 3. What if the blah, blah, blah? What are we?
So part of that paragraph was already rewritten in a previous PR that we did maybe 2 weeks ago or something. But
yeah. So this is the one sentence I changed.
Okay, so now you're saying it's not limited to 3. Okay.
Not limited to 3. These are 3 ways. Any objections?
Punctuation-wise, it's odd to have a colon without either bullets or part of the same sentence. So maybe include the following or something like that. So that's a complete sentence, because usually anytime that you have a colon, there's always has to be something that would be a period. So if it was a bulleted list, for example, then the last bullet would be the thing that has a period. But here there's not bullets or anything. So
And also I've repeated in which 3 ways in which the process may fail
are as follows.
Are as follows.
Sure.
No colon.
Period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. But I like your include, because the reason that I liked your include is because it was clear that it was not limited to 3. Now it's less clear. So I wonder if we can. The other way to do this, let me see. How long is the text that's below this? The 646, is this like 1 sentence each, or is it more? All right. So here's my other suggestion. Put it back to the way that you had it with a colon, and make first, second, and third be bullets, because they're all one-liners. And then the way that you had it to begin with, instead of are as follows, as include. Yeah. And
So then you want me to put numbers, or
no? I'd say because unless you're going to change the text, yeah, just say the star. I think it's fine at the beginning of each of those 3 sentences. Let's preview that and see what it looks like.
I think we have to put a blank line.
I don't think you do, but go ahead and preview. It should show up right either way, I think.
Well, my experience is that I always get them run together and I don't put a blank line.
No, I wanted to see the preview view, if you know what I mean, inside your suggestion. Where you were typing before, there was a preview tab that you went past. If you do an edit, and then right there. Oh, interesting. It doesn't actually show you the markdown that way. Okay. All right. No. GitHub. Okay. I thought that GitHub would display that as markdown. It may display that as the, process.
I understand as markdown. Yeah. Maybe it does for something else, or maybe it turn text into bullet points. Okay. So hit that. And then we'll hit that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Anybody else?
Yeah, that's fine to me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So that's the same one there. So the issue was 2.4. So this was a Guy comment as well. Ned wrote back on this. Oh, wait. Okay, hang on here. Is that really the right one? No, that is not the right one. Because that was the one I couldn't figure out. Guy asks, is this a normative statement? And so I rewrote this. And I made it more clear that it was about the verifier is got some anchor. And the only reason why we're talking about the manufacturer arranging that is to emphasize that that's how it could get to the verifier. And a lot of this sentence here originally was wordsmithed. Lawrence, talking about databases and symmetric keys and stuff. So that's why that list is like that.
So, Michael, in 893, I think you have a missing word. This may in the form of. I think you mean this may be in the form of.
I really wanted to write uppercase at may there, but
Thank you for resisting the urge.
yeah.
I think grammatically delete the last comma in the sentence. And that's because yes, it's because that or is not an or that goes to the first or. It's inside the. So in other words, this may be in the form of an appropriate trust anchor, or open parentheses. Or the verifier may be open parentheses provided with.
This. Yeah, you're saying this.
No, it's because you don't have another or may be, right? And so the or even actually goes with the verifier may, and then the even carefully secured list of is after may be provided with either. So in other words, the open parenthesis goes between with and a database. And if I were going to sentence diagram it, right? Maybe provided with.
Like
maybe
this.
Maybe provided with a database of public keys, or the verifier may be even before the word provided. But yeah. So I don't know if you need to rewrite it or whatever, but that's why the parentheses need to go away. All right, so now you can delete those extra parentheses that were for diagramming the sentence. But
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I think it's a good improvement. Some of it reads oddly, but I don't have a better suggestion.
English at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the having been provided with reads oddly, but it looks okay. So, or having arranged for, but I don't want to rewrite it, so I'm going to call it good enough. Thanks, Michael.
Yes, and next time I'll get out my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that allow grammar thing that allows you to do the time travel tenses. Did German have that, Hank?
What again?
Verb tenses for time travel.
Oh.
I will have
Maybe
when you do something in your personal future, but is in fact in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I will have this changed to my convenience. Of course.
I will have had this changed to my convenience.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay, so the pull request here is this one which Thomas is going to work on. Relying party, mutual authentication. So Guy asked this here. I want to close that one. Sorry, I think there's yeah, that's not the one I wanted to have. And then this issue here, almost the same thing, asked the same thing. Description of mutual authentication. And Ned asked, should we have this term? And I took a half-assed attempt to put it into the terminology realized that with the reorganization of the terminology, I had no idea which section to put it in. And I felt it was such a big thing to add that I just backed off. And I don't know whether or not we think we need to define this term or not, or just say we're not dealing with this.
I would lean toward not, but I'm open to arguments otherwise. But I would lean towards not.
The original request was to define it.
Well, okay. So here he's asked, does this term mutual thing need to be defined?
Mutual authentication, not mutual attestation.
Oh, actually, I think that's a typo on my part.
I think he meant attestation.
Oh, here he is, authentication here. Oh, okay. Ooh, oops. We're mutual authentication or attestation.
So we've said that every use case of authentication is potentially a use case of attestation. So if mutual authentication exists, then mutual attestation might also exist.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right, Ned.
So
your logic is sound.
So if we are going to define it, I think if you look at the terminology section, right, we have roles and then we have artifacts.
Why do we think it needs to be defined? Let me ask that way, because it sounds like you were uncertain. I would lean towards not, unless there's a good case for it. So let me ask, what's the case for why it would need to be defined?
Well, because you just said if there's mutual authentication, then there's probably mutual attestation.
We don't define mutual authentication either, right?
That's true. So
why would we need to define mutual attestation? I guess is my question.
I'm all for that. If it means we don't have to write any text.
That's why I'm leaning towards that answer. Yeah. So I'm saying if there's a good reason to define it, we can. But then if we don't define mutual authentication,
typical mutual attestation are totally different processes. I mean, yes, cell phone tower is providing evidence to cell phone, and cell phone is providing evidence to cell phone tower, but your infrastructure at the back end is totally different. When the trust relationships are different, the trust anchors probably even are, and so yes, while this might be a requirement, it's just reds times two. So I don't think it's very special, but maybe it is. Maybe you're missing something.
So first, your cell tower example is a terrible example because that's an example where it mostly doesn't happen. But anyway, never mind that point. Okay, a SIM card, AKA is a stillborn until we get to 5G. But the issue with mutual attestation, also with mutual, I think more so than mutual authentication, comes down to who goes first, right? And I won't prove to you I won't prove to you that I'm safe until you prove to me that you're safe, and then the other end says the same thing, right? And so we get in.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that as you were introducing this issue. I think mutual authentication to me means the same to you as you're typically going at the same time, because that's how you usually think about it, like in mutual auth with TLS or something like that, right? And so, but the problem actually comes up, and so this is a case where I would prefer to not bring up the topic unless there's a reason to, but since we're bringing it up here, not in the text or whatever, there's also authentication cases that says I don't want to reveal my identity until the other guy goes first, right? And so if you think about TLS or whatever, one side presents a certificate, and then you decide whether to present your certificates. You can do it, one at a time, and that's really the same concept which we're talking about with attestation, right? With privacy-sensitive stuff, I don't want to attest until the other guy attests me first, so I know that I'm only revealing my sensitive information to somebody that I know who it is. And so I think it actually does come up, the same issue about the same time or one at a time. It comes up in both authentication and attestation. They're just alternatives. So,
well, I understood that there were some useful zero knowledge proofs that work for authentication in some cases that allow you to not have to decide who goes first. I can't imagine how to apply them to attestation,
There is,
though.
and gosh, I wish they were actually implemented by people, because I don't know of any implementations. I just know of the papers. And you're
Yeah,
right. I've actually
exactly.
referenced those
I don't know
papers
why.
in IETF presentations. So
I lots of times I wanted this in TLS, right? And
yes,
we
exactly.
haven't had it, right? So
I was one of the people that sent a request to CFRG. Hey, can you guys please recommend something to be implemented in things? But I've never gotten any traction on that yet. So
did we make mention of of privacy sensitive
yes,
we
keys
did.
in here, like EPID or DAA?
I don't know if we mentioned them by name, but we certainly have mentioned
We
that.
mentioned them, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
And
just not by name.
that's actually the in the privacy considerations, this other ticket, which is sort of about the same thing. There, somewhat longer assurance of the trust for the verifier for sending evidence to it, right? And there's some other PII stuff around this text now, or at least there is.
So do we talk about class attestation as a concept?
That's what I'm looking, because I thought the answer was yes, but now you're making me think. So I'm looking at the.
I'm getting confused
so
with the.
We had a use case for this, but I don't think it wound up in this document. I don't think the FIDO.
I know we did in like the CCC white paper attestation section, and I'm thinking that was in here too, but I'm afraid that I might be confusing the two. So that's why I'm checking the privacy.
I know it's in the TCG one as well, but I can't remember if we put it in here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Okay, so aside from the fact that we've said that there are cases where you must be more careful and therefore your protocol better deal with it, we're not defining the protocol that's going to deal with it. So I don't know where we need to get that far into it. There are architectural impacts of this is that there are potentially additional round trips to, do something else to figure it out, right? But I don't see how we can get this into the architecture in a meaningful way. I think it belongs in the protocol. If you have to do, I think you're alluding to, the phone first does a class attestation that it is a particular kind of phone, and then the verifier says, oh, and therefore you'll trust me because I have blah, 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 and then the phone will reveal some PII after that point. That sounds like a three-way handshake.
That's not quite the same thing, but so Ned, I did check, and it is not in this document. I was thinking of their document, not this one, so it's not in here right now.
Do you have some text then from another document or you can reference other document that would just would work well?
I can't comment on the latter, but is there text for the document? Yes. Whether you think it would work well, I guess you have to make a judgment on that. But
well, I mean, you said it's in some other document, so I mean, one could refer to that document.
If you continue talking about this, I'll call it up, and if you want me to, after you get done with this part, I can project that text on the screen, and you can take a look at it. Or I could, if it's small enough, I may be able to copy it in the chat. We'll see. Let me find the other document.
Okay. What was the general area?
It's not an IETF document. It's a TCG document.
A TCG document?
No. Ned was saying there is a TCG document. I'm talking about a CC, Confidential Committee Consortium document.
C3.
See, it was a white paper where there's an attestation section, and it even points to the RATS architecture document in that section.
Oh, good. We could have
mutual references, not mutual attested references.
Is that the AAA document?
No.
It's not the CA3 document. It's the C3 document.
Give me a minute.
All right. So just going to. All right. So I'm just going to go back to issues, and we have 7 minutes left. So my goal here is to find tickets that don't have anyone assigned to them. Hank has many tickets assigned to him, which worries me.
You can take them off me if you want.
Okay. The text that I was referring to is in section 6.2 of the PDF I posted in the chat room, the link to.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
So if you click on that and scroll down to 6.2. It's 2 paragraphs. So section 6.1 is the one that refers to the RATS architecture document, and 6.2 is the, so you can see right there, reference number 6 is the RATS architecture document. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's the text that we were referring to. I don't know if there's any of that text that's usable in the RATS architecture, or if we just don't want to go there, but.
And so this is the group signatures.
Yeah, it's just there. Yeah, and you can see there's a specific reference as an example. It's referencing the ISO IEC document that defines DAA.
Does it have impacts on our architecture? Otherwise, it sounds like a great implementation problem. An implementation document of the architecture says, and we're going to use direct anonymous attestation to deal with the privacy implications of blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have an opinion.
We don't have to address DAA necessarily here. It's also covered in the interaction model ID, just FYI. So a link doesn't hurt. More references don't hurt, I think. But it's not.
Well, for people that haven't seen this PDF before, if you remember, one of our use cases in the use cases section is confidential computing. This is a deep dive into the confidential computing use case. And of course, one of the sections is about attestation for that, and that's where it references the RATS architecture in that section 6. So just RATS architecture is more general, right? But this is the special case of attestation, that section 6 is special case of attestation for TEEs.
Cool. Should this be referenced in the use case?
Now that this exists, yeah, I'd say that would be perfectly fine to reference it in the use case.
Oh, it's all about improving our search engine optimization.
So there's 2 different white papers from the Confidential Computing Consortium. This one is the technical deep dive. There's another one that's much more higher level that doesn't go into all the attestation details and stuff. It's like, what's the actual use case for it? And it's, if you're a C-level person trying to understand what it is or whatever, or you're a marketing person or whatever, then it's very high level. And so there's another one that's actually slightly more readable, but this one is for us engineers. And so usually engineers are the ones that read RFCs, not marketing people. So this would probably be, if we were going to reference one, this is probably the more appropriate one given the audience of RFCs.
Makes sense.
And it's out of the 2, this is the only one that references the RATS architecture, because the other one doesn't go into that level of technical detail. So, by the way, I am the chair of the group that put this together. Thomas was there at some of the discussions, so I appreciate all of Thomas's input on this document, and as well as some of you worked for companies that had active people participating in the authoring of this text.
Cheers.
Yeah, I'll stick it into the use case. I was just typing the link in. I hate it when it has this. That's almost always means that the URL will change at some point. Someone will reorganize.
Actually, I have an action item on me to investigate a DOI. And so my hope is that we will figure that out soon. I don't know if any of you have gone through the DOI process. I have to try to figure that out. I know the RFC editor has done that, but I don't know how to do it yet. I need to figure that out. So.
Yeah, but it won't necessarily mean that it's just the fact that it has that WordPress upload content in the middle that guarantees that some marketing person will break the link in a year.
I will take an action item and bring that up and see if we can get a stable link.
Yeah, because that would be great. Yeah, in fact, I think like this is the way to do it is you just always do something like that, or paper or something like that.
Or
Yeah.
they can just do a redirect or something like
Yeah,
that. Right?
exactly. That's all. It's
Okay.
always so annoying, these things.
Okay,
Anyway.
I will take the note, and I will, because we only care about this by the time the Threats architecture goes through FC editor, right?
That's right, exactly. And then
so I've got time to figure this out, but that is a great point. I will take an action item on that one. I'm sending a note to myself now.
Okay, so going back to here, so I had opened a bunch of issues. We don't really have time to step through them all, but we need to do this and get some of these there. Okay, so we had a won't fix on that one. We have a won't fix on that one. Eric comment. Oh. Did we never actually close this in months? Really? That's really weird. Oh, this is just another issue. Oh, it's self-referential. That's cool.
Wow.
Oh, I see. No, I see. I added the strength of function. That's a commit. And so I'm going to close this one here because we fixed it. What's open is it needs a reference to common criteria public citation in here.
Mm-hmm. What does your comment mean?
So the reason it's still open is that this needs a reference to common criteria in this fix here, and maybe Ned actually
strength of function is vocabulary from common criteria.
The XXX that's in there.
Yeah. The XXX needs that one. Yeah. So that needs a specific document reference. I don't know if someone was going to do that. I think it was Ned, but I don't know. All right, I'm just going to move on here. Architecture document readability flow. That's closed. Note that a proposed PR has been created as 164. And I think it's closed. So I'm going to close this one here.
I posted into the chat. Is that the right link that we're talking about for the common criteria reference?
Yeah, but it's still not. It's the right. It gets us the documents, but where is the document? Where is the piece inside the document? Is it part 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever?
Well, it depends. What are you trying to reference?
We were trying to reference strength of function.
Okay, strength of function is a term.
Yeah, as a term, and it's in one of those. So yeah, having this actually helps to get to the right thing. So I guess I just assumed it was a paper download only. Go by it. Okay, so listen, it's top of the hour. We're going to do this again next week. I wouldn't mind if you have time next week if we could schedule 2 meetings. I'm not proposing this week because there's like 6 virtual interim meetings this week, including one on Friday for me. So, but next week, if you're available on Tuesday and Friday, that would be great.
Oh, okay for me.
It is fine.
I'm available. I just hate 7 a.m. meetings, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. Propose a later time in the day if you want.
That particular day, I have a fairly flexible schedule. And you were talking February 5th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that one I can make just about any time. I know it just gets later for the Europeans, so.
Yeah, Friday and Mondays are my family days, to be honest. So that is a kind of strict rule here. So I would not be available after, what is it, 9 a.m. PT, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're going to do it before that time. Yeah, okay, all right. We'll stick at the same time.
1 hour later than normal would be fine if Hank can do 1 hour later than normal.
1 hour later?
Yeah, we have to move a block out there, but I think that's a no-brainer, I guess, because it's all attestation related. So we can,
Okay,
we
1
can-
hour later. 1 hour later
Yeah.
it is. All right. Thank you, guys, and I'll talk to you next
Okay.
week.
All right. Thanks, guys.